Animals, we had to dive into the annals of football history. We went and found a Cornhusker, a Buffalo Bill. You want to talk about rabid fan bases? Like, if they don't shell out for their guys, nobody does. But we went and got a guy that I think his position doesn't even exist anymore. We talk about the old flex and all that stuff. Nate Turner, welcome to the show, Nate. How you doing, brother?
What's going on? Everything's good. Everything's good.
Man, we really appreciate you giving us an opportunity just to come on the show. We always like talking with former athletes. And, man, I don't want to even beat around the bush. I just want to get right into it, man. We talk about your career. You played at Nebraska. You played at Buffalo. Two legendary coaches, man. You played for Tom Osborne and Marv Levy. Like, just what type of impact do those guys have? You were part of those organizations, so indulge us a little bit with that.
You know what? It's something you don't really realize until after the fact, and then you after the fact you realize, wow, I got coached by Hall of Fame guys in college and Hall of Fame guys in the pros, and actually Frank Linty, he's a Hall of Famer too, here in Chicago, the coach I played for in high school. So I had the luxury of playing for 3 Hall of Fame guys throughout my career. And it's and Marv Levy and Tom Osborne are a lot alike, as far as their the way they approach the game,
I can
cerebrally.
See that. I can see that.
And Coach Osborne I never heard him say a swear word. If he said dag nabbit or gosh darn it, he might as well went into a Richard Pryor epitaph of things. You know what I mean?
That's his level of swearing.
Yeah,
right?
You in trouble. Dag nabbit. Oh, you're in trouble.
You're running. You're running.
Yeah. Yes.
All right, so let me ask, just to educate people on who you are, because I looked at your stats, and you got drafted by the Bills, and you played at Nebraska, but Nebraska at the time, man, was just a powerhouse. I mean, you guys were unbelievable, but you weren't a guy that was running for 1,000-yard seasons in college,
right?
But the way Nebraska kind of ran their offense, they kind of had a place for you. So tell everybody, especially our millennial listeners that don't even know,
they have no idea.
They don't know what Nebraska used to be. So what was it?
So the option I formation, I played wingback, and wingback is basically the second fullback. So, as far as any option plays, towards the side, I'm picking off first line of defense. That was my job. And, you end up becoming, like my father always told me, never do a bad job good, because you end up doing it all the time. that ended up being, my life, you know what I mean? So I ended up playing fullback and blocking, for Derek Brown and Calvin Jones and Kenny Clark. It's a list of guys in Nebraska, and then I ended up blocking for Thurman too. And when I got to Buffalo, so it's just a thing of they kind of get the ball a little bit more now at fullback position. If they have,
I was gonna say, people, we might even have to explain to some people what a fullback is.
You know what? San Francisco uses one. And I believe they use one. They use them a lot, and I don't know. It's just it's kind of a thankless position. But if someone who's a real football knowledgeable person really understands what the fullback is and what how much you meant to the game, especially back when I came through.
Oh, yeah. All right, man. I remember a little bit after your time, you go to the NFL and you got a guy like Lorenzo Neal that bounced around a few people, but everybody he blocked for became 1,000-yard rusher. I mean,
exactly.
It's just kind of a lost aspect of the game. So all that being said, you being not the first, but the second fullback, a different position then, what was your playing weight back then? How big a guy were you to take on those hits and those blocks?
You know what? When I was in college, I weighed 230. When the draft was approaching, I was asked to bulk up, try to get to around 250. So at the combine, I weighed 248 at the combine, and I ran a 4.48 at 248. So basically, and I did well, as far as all the drills are concerned. So hence getting drafted, where I got drafted.
So it ended up making you a little bit more versatile when you got to the NFL, because you were able to do a little bit on special teams. Primarily there, how did you line up? Was it just kickoffs? Was it punts?
Well, Listen, kickoff, punt return. That you had to do that during the season to keep your job. You know what I mean? You had to do that to keep your job because other than that, there's no real place, for a fullback in Jim Kelly's K-gun offense. You know what I mean? Except for short yardage goal line, which was kind of my thing. And then the main thing I think I did was keep Thurman healthy. So you know how preseason is now, where you have guys and they don't really play. Like Thurman really wouldn't play till the last preseason game.
Right.
So when I got there, I had played, I was fast enough to play tailback. So they played me not at fullback, but at tailback all through the preseason. And I'd lead the I led the team in rushing 3 preseasons in a row.
I mean, that was your chance to shine, man. You had to show up.
That was it. You know what I mean? So it was awesome. You know what I mean? It was awesome time. And then, being, lucky and blessed enough to play with great coaches and to play with great players. You know what I mean? At one point in time, I looked around the huddle, and it was kind of like a aha moment. You got Jim Kelly and Thurman, Andre Reed,
Hall of Famers, right?
Kent Hall, right. James Lofton. Come on, man. You know what I mean? And that's just something what, in Buffalo is rabid. The fans are rabid, just like Nebraska. So I kind of went to Nebraska in the pros because there's nothing else there. You know what I mean? In Nebraska, there are no professional teams. So we were the professional team. And in Buffalo, there are no other teams. So you're the team. I mean, we got the Sabres, you know what I mean? But that's a different deal. There's no baseball. There's no basketball. Right. So, you can always have the opportunity to go, everybody, all those crazy fans in Buffalo know everybody on the roster from the top guy to the last guy. So it wasn't like, you would, fall to the wayside as far as fans go because they know who you are.
Yeah, you probably can't go anywhere in town, right? They're going to pick you out.
They know exactly who you are. And I came along, right at the embryonic stages of that, the Bills Mafia, and that is just the most unbelievable thing. I mean, I went back to a game and I'm not really a drinker, you know what I mean? I went back to a game and I was walking through and ran into some Mafia people. I didn't even make it to the game.
Mm. They just
party.
They got you in the parking lot.
They park in the parking lot, and then those guys jumping off of trucks and jumping through tables and lighting themselves on fire. I mean,
so did you power bomb anybody through a table, or did you?
No.
You just watched.
No. Okay. Yeah, I just kind of watched. At least, hopefully, there's no videotape. But
we won't look for it. So that leads me to a question. Playing for Nebraska at such a passionate fan base. Maybe you've gotten a chance to get back there. Sometime.
Right.
In the recent
Definitely.
memory here.
Yeah.
So is that what Buffalo is now? Is it more like a college atmosphere compared to anywhere else in the NFL?
Definitely. Just because of the fan base and because of the small market, you know what I mean? And just in the ownership, the Pagulas are awesome. You know what I mean? They took over for, when Ralph Wilson passed, they bought the team and they're awesome people and they've taken care of, the alumni the way they should.
So what's all this static about the stadium and maybe Buffalo can end up moving and stuff like that? Like that would be like the Packers moving to me. Like that's just a legacy team that needs to not move.
Know what? They have to threaten that, you know what I mean, to get what they want. It's political. So, they have to say, it's like something, we're going to go on strike, and then they never go on strike, you know what I mean? So it's something that they have to throw on the table just to level the playing field. But, I think they're going to give them what they want. They probably give them a new stadium and a bunch of stuff. But Orchard Park, New York is awesome. Big Tree Inn is a place right there next to got the best chicken wings on earth. Real live buffalo wings.
So what's the name of it?
Big Tree.
Big Tree?
Big Tree, yeah. It's right there, right outside the stadium.
Okay. We got a couple of different Bills people have come on the show before, and I feel like we get a different answer every time about about the wings up there. So I'll have to put that one in the roulette here. We'll see which one's the right one. But all right, so let me ask, just as far as following the game today specifically, let's just keep with the NFL. Do you still keep up with the Bills pretty much? Are you watching on a regular basis?
100%. I watch them every week.
Once a Bill, always a Bill, right? That Mafia is, you try to get out, but you can't, right? You're just stuck in the Mafia.
You don't even try to get out. The thing is that it's just such a passionate thing, and you feel it. And when Coach Marv was there, and I talk to Coach Marv every now and again. He's here in Chicago, so
okay.
It's an awesome thing. Buffalo's an awesome place.
The best quote from a coach ever is a Marv Levy quote. One of my favorite things to say, because everyone's an armchair quarterback. Everybody's a Monday morning quarterback. They're always analyzing everything. And Marv Levy one time said that the day you start listening to the fans is the day you'll be sitting next to the fans. And I'm like, he's absolutely right, man, because everybody gets so bent out of shape. And when things aren't going well, that's usually how fans are. But things are going really well for Buffalo right now. I mean, what's the key here? What has changed? This is a team not too long ago that was just kind of middle of the road, and they ended the playoff drought, and that was a huge deal. And they went to Jacksonville, but now like they're a perennial favorite all of a sudden.
I think it's the family aspect of it all. Because we had the same thing, you know what I mean? The family aspect of the team, and the guys are really tight and close knit. And it's and when that happens, it's a different brotherhood. It's not as much work as in other places, if that makes sense to you. You know what I mean? A lot of times it turns into work. And you can tell which teams I'm talking about. Sometimes it's work, man. And you go and you punch the clock and you get out trying to get out of there. Right. In Buffalo back when I played, we enjoyed each other, man. You know what I mean? Even though we hate each other sometimes with the bickering Bills. I don't know if you remember that.
I know what you're talking about.
But it's a love-hate thing, and it's more love.
Yeah. I mean, you're going to have a little bit of that. You're going to war with each other, practice gets chippy, all that kind of stuff. I get it, right. But I know what you're saying too. Don't treat it like a job. Don't treat it like the person working the 9 to 5, the accountant's office. That's no fun.
But that happens. You see it. You can see it in people's faces.
So you got a prediction on the year? Like, are the Bills legitimate Super Bowl contenders? Are they just going to be AFC Championship? Like, what do you think?
You know what, man? Kansas City is not really playing like they usually do. So I believe we got a shot.
Is that a blip, or are they going to come back around, or is that defense in KC just too damaged?
I think the defense is too damaged. I think we'll eat them up. It's like we ate them up. Was it last week? Yeah, it's tough. It's hard to make a prediction. You know what I mean? Because you never know injuries. But hopefully we make it back to the AFC Championship, and then hopefully we go ahead and make it to the Super Bowl. It's been a long time.
No, we know a lot can happen. That's for sure. So I do have a couple of people that asked me, if the Bills do win the Super Bowl, are you going to go to Disneyland with them, though? They want to know.
No, I'm not going to Disneyland, but I definitely go to Buffalo.
Hey, you know what?
Because I guarantee Buffalo will be more fun than Disneyland. Even in the snow.
You probably can't do the things they do in Buffalo or Disneyland, if I had to guess.
No. We had at one point in time, it was snowing so much, and we had to go to practice. So Kent Hall and Parker, they had like snowmobiles, and they come pick you up at your house. They'll pick you up at your house in the snowmobile, hop on back snowmobile, go to the stadium.
Now, I had somebody tell me that in Buffalo, they don't have driveways at most of the houses because the weather's so bad. They just have gravel. Is that true?
That's true.
That's crazy. I guess the concrete wouldn't freeze or something. I don't know.
Right. Or the concrete gets slick. You can always get traction in gravel.
All right. So one more thing on Buffalo, just before we move on. What do you miss most about Buffalo? I know you said you got a chance to go back a couple times. You still talk to Marv Levy every now and then, but like, what do you miss most about Buffalo?
You know what? You miss the game. You miss the practices. You miss the stuff that people don't see more than, you miss the practice was awesome. I got to see Bruce Smith and Darryl Talley up close and personal. Cornelius Bennett, every day. You know what I mean? And as a young kid coming in, I was blessed to have been in that situation.
So I'm going to hit on some guys you played with here in a second, but I want to swing back to Nebraska because I did have some people kind of go out of their way, and they wanted to know if you still are following Nebraska pretty close.
100%.
And what are your thoughts on Scott Frost, man? How's he doing? Is it just going to take some
You know what,
time, or is he in trouble?
They're recruiting my youngest boy right now. He's a quarterback.
I've seen you mention some things about him online.
Yeah. So I think, you know what, man, it's hard to figure out because I only know one way to do things, and that's the Tom Osborne way. And that's usually the correct way. And Scott, being a Osborne disciple, you would figure he would do things that way, coming from Nebraska and playing for Nebraska. But I mean, people don't realize he didn't even go to Nebraska. He went to Stanford first.
Yeah,
he went to Stanford, then transferred back when it didn't work out. So a lot of people don't realize that. It's a bunch of stuff people don't realize, and it's I don't know if you've seen the Lawrence Phillips documentary.
I have. I know. Yeah, Lawrence Phillips is an interesting story.
And Scott was kind of involved in that in a way. I don't even want to really talk about that. That's one thing I don't want to talk about.
No, that's fine. We won't go there.
But I mean, is he our guy? You know what I mean?
So whether or not Scott may or may not be the guy, I mean, he's there, and he's got a track record beforehand, but Nebraska has been extremely difficult to win at, and to me, like as just the outside looking in, when they got away from their identity, like when you were there, and what that mentality was, that style of play. Right. And they tried to, I hate to say it this way, but they tried to modernize the offense. They tried to change a little bit. And that's not what they, that's not where their bread was buttered.
That was Callahan.
Yeah.
That kind of, and Scott, Coach Solich, who just retired he just retired at Ohio as the winningest coach in the MAC. And he got fired. He went 9-3 and got fired.
Yeah.
Ever since that happened, it's been strange. And, not really Nebraska football, and Coach Osborne came back as the AD. They ended up getting, Bo Pelini in there, but Bo Pelini didn't fit in socially.
And that matters in college big time, especially in a program like Nebraska.
And not that he wasn't a good coach. It's just everybody hated him because he wasn't a Republican, you know what I mean? He kind of cussed too much. He was like the opposite of Tom Osborne.
Right. And no, I mean, Nebraska is a small state, man, and there's still a state that puts 70,000 at their spring game. I mean, they're supporting their program, but that's the difference in college. You gotta wine and dine, the admin, the boosters, all that stuff, just as much.
Everything has to work. I mean, he was kind of a hothead. I thought he was a decent coach, but then it got worse and it got worse. Until we got to Scott, and then everybody was thinking Scott was going to be the savior.
Oh, look what he did at UCF. He's going to turn it around overnight.
Yeah. But even at Oregon, he was offensive coordinator at Oregon all those years.
And look what they did.
They did well. When he was there, they did well. It's just that it's such a fickle situation in college, and you got 4 years. And you have to keep the thing going. You have to keep this thing going. That's why a lot of college coaches don't survive in the pros, because after 4 years, if you play longer than 4 years, you've heard all the stories.
Yeah.
You've heard all the stories, so it gets old. You know what I mean? So now you're a 7-year veteran and you listen to this coach, like, it's the same shit he was talking about 4 years ago. But that's the one thing in college where you can continue to regurgitate.
You say the same stories over and over again.
Yeah, right. Your speeches and stuff, and it works. But in the pros, it don't work that way. Ask my man in Jacksonville.
Yeah, I was going to ask, man, on a completely unrelated note, I was going to ask you, our over-under for Urban Meyer is Halloween. Does he make it past Halloween?
Yeah, I don't know what he's doing. have no idea. He's having a good time though.
I'll tell you what, there wasn't anybody in the league that wasn't happier to hear about John Gruden than Urban Meyer, because it took all the heat off of him for a minute.
Exactly.
And real quick, man, let me touch on that. Like, you hear stuff like that come out about Gruden and all the stuff that's going on with the Raiders, man. Like, I don't even want to get into like the, validity of what he did was wrong. It is. But my thing is, do you feel like the NFL is holding the cards too close to the chest? Is there more to this story about Washington and other things? I mean, how is it that we get 600,000 emails and all you get is a thing about Gruden?
You know what? I think the NFL is kind of shady in a way. You know what I mean? That's like the NCAA, man. You know what I mean? You don't get caught unless you step on somebody's toes, and then you get caught. Because everybody knows when the NCAA is coming to town. Everybody knows everybody knows. It's not like it's a secret. So if you don't know and you get caught doing something, that's because somebody wanted you to get caught. Because you stepped on something. It's like, was it Urban Meyer that got in trouble too?
Well, Urban Meyer got in trouble. Well, I don't know. I felt like he did at Florida, and then I don't know. I feel like every time he was about to get in trouble with the NCAA, he had a medical condition, and then he went to a different team a couple years later. So
right. That's how you do it. You got to know how to play the game. But he stepped on toes. You know what I mean? He stepped on toes, just like Barry Switzer. Barry Switzer stepped on toes. Yeah. So therefore you get snagged. You get snagged with different stuff. It's not like stuff that didn't go on everywhere.
Now, I think people have to remember that Roger Goodell works for the owners and nobody else, and they pay him $45 million a year to do a lot of damage control. So I don't think they want a Donald Sterling case on their hand like the Clippers had there a few years ago. So they're
right, exactly. It's not the time. It's not the time to say anything racial. It's not the time to say anything against homosexuality. It's not the time. You'll get eaten alive.
Yeah.
And this is an email from 11 years ago.
I know. Well, he doubled down with some ones from 2018 too, I guess.
Yeah. Those were even worse. Yeah.
But I guess they were sending topless cheerleader pictures to him too. So, I like heard that today, and I'm like, well, is that Bruce Allen sending those? Like, I just want to know, how have we not heard anything about Dan Snyder yet? That's driving me crazy.
Yeah. Right. Well, that's ownership. Ownership's different than coaches.
Oh, I know.
Ownership's different. Ownership, they run the show. They don't
like Gruden anyway.
Nobody's getting caught. Yeah, he talks too much. He talks, and he's kind of cocky. You know what I mean?
And his brother was coaching there while this was going on, so that's probably easy target for him. Who knows what he was saying to them the whole time? But anyway, we could go on and on about this. I don't want to keep you all night. I do have a couple more questions for you. So when we talk about just playing, you can go back to your college days. You can go to the NFL. Just the best athlete you ever played with, like just somebody, whether practice or in the game. May not have been
Steve Tasker.
Man, people do not remember that guy.
Hands down. I've seen Steve Tasker. So Chris Moore was our punter. I've seen Steve Tasker at least over the years I was there, at least 3 or 4 times, take the ball off his foot.
Wow.
Like, not block the punt. Just take the ball off of his foot.
I mean, Steve Tasker is a guy that I know he made multiple Pro Bowls, but he just played special teams. But he was so. But
he's the reason they have the special team spot on the Pro Bowl,
because he was always making plays.
Because he deserved to be there.
Yeah, he was a guy that was all.
You know what? Yeah, man. I played with a bunch of great guys. Steve is definitely top 3.
Top 3. I'll take it. Who's the guy that probably you had the biggest collision with? Anybody that just really knocked you on your butt or got you knocked silly anytime, just you being in that fullback or tight end mode? Anything like that ever happened?
Daryl Talley. All day. And I wish he'd get in the Hall of Fame too. Daryl Talley was awesome. Spider-Man.
Why isn't he? Why isn't he in the Hall of Fame?
You know what, man? I guess it just didn't, he was our spiritual leader. too. You know what I mean? It wasn't Bruce was not spiritual leader. It was Daryl all those years. You know what I mean? And he's just that guy that leads the team and really didn't get a lot of credit. I mean, all the guys who play with him, he's the man. Who runs the show? Daryl runs the show. Bruce might be the most talented dude on earth. And, and probably he is. But Daryl Talley, I go to war with Daryl Talley any day.
Mm. Well, I guess you had to in practice. You had to learn to absorb him hits, right?
100%, right? 100%.
All right. So what have you been up to after football, man? You're back in Chicago. You mentioned your son. What is he, a junior or a senior?
He's a senior. He's a senior at Phillips Academy.
So why didn't he play fullback? What happened there?
Because hopefully, we continue to grow as football players in my family. So football being a Cro-Magnon position, we wanted to evolve. We wanted to evolve the Turner name. So both my boys are quarterbacks, my oldest and my youngest.
Okay. How old's the youngest?
He's 18.
Okay. So is he the senior? The youngest is the senior.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
Got you. So is your oldest playing college ball or is he done?
No, my oldest is done. He was at what's the name of that school he was at? Culver Stockton. He played at Culver Stockton and in Missouri. And then so now he's just relaxing and trying to get education and live another dream now.
There you go. Ain't nothing wrong with that, man. Football don't last forever, man.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
Mm. All right, man. So he's how involved are you in his recruiting process? Like when they're I don't know how it works now with COVID and everything.
5,000%.
All right.
So everything comes through me.
So
it's he's got some pretty good stuff on the table. You know what I mean? And I think he'll be fine.
Has he taken any visits yet, or is he just waiting for a certain time?
No, we did the Nebraska visit right off the top just because he's been there and his godparents live there. But other than that, we're gonna wait till everything's been weird because of COVID.
Yeah, that's why I was asking.
So after this year, so after the season, probably be the major move around time for us.
All right, man. Well, hey, best of luck. Hopefully, get somewhere where at least they're going to cultivate that young man and let him turn into be a great football player. But I'm sure if not, Dad's going to be right there to crack some heads if he's got to be.
Right. Exactly.
Man. All right, Nate. Well, man, I appreciate you giving me some time this evening, man. We'll definitely get this out to all the fans to hear. Like, we love interacting with different NFL players. We got this group that we started on Facebook, and
right.
You're one of many guys that have played in the league that we've gotten here. And, we definitely look forward to connecting with a lot of different guys. And, if you're ever interested in coming back on the show, we'll do some lead pipe locks and stuff like that, man. If you're ever down for that, we'll bring you back and see if you can best us, man. We got this one guy that he puts the guys at Bleacher Report to shame. And now Bleacher Report doesn't show their overall records anymore because of this.
Oh, wow.
Anyway, we've had a couple guys come on and hold their own, but if you're ever down for that, we'd love to have you.
All right, cool.
All right, brother. Well, Nate, it was a pleasure, man. Appreciate you giving me the time again. And as always, be safe out there, and hopefully we'll cross paths again down the road. Okay.
Thank you. God bless.
You too, Nate. Thanks, man.
All right, take it light. Yep.